Welcome to Cooking with Smokey. Today we're going to do a brisket. I bought this 18-pound brisket at Costco. Looks like this. And you'll notice down here that it's a USDA Prime. That's important. Alright, to cut the fat off, I'm going to need my glasses so I can see a little bit better. And all we're really going to do, because you'll see, like right here, there's really a lot of fat. I mean, there's probably 2 inches there. And we want to be at least, at the very most, a quarter of an inch. So, I mean, all we're really going to do, no magic to it. We're just going to start cutting, right? We'll make a little pile over here. And see right here, I'm starting to hit meat. So I'll go a little bit higher, obviously, but that's fine. This is how much we've cut off. It's quite a big pile of fat. And you can see now, you can see meat almost in every location on this brisket. If I flip it over, right, same thing. There still is a little bit of fat, and that's fine. You know, and there's some fat in here. There was a big pocket here that I cut out. I left some in the very middle, but that's all we're gonna leave. Now the reason I've done this is because the last time I did a brisket, I left too much fat on the outside. And what happens is the smoke only penetrates, you know, maybe a quarter of an inch inside. And I ended up with some very flavorful fat, but, you know, yuck, nobody wants to eat just fat, right? So when you slice it open, the meat itself didn't have as much of the spice and the smoke. The fat, however, was tasty, but this time I've decided to just cut most of it away. We're going to go with just the meat. I'm going to take some preventative measures to hopefully not, dry out the meat, and I'll explain those later. Okay, so to start spicing this thing up, we're going to start with some mustard. I use this as a base. It doesn't taste like mustard when it's done, but what's nice is the mustard sort of makes a base layer that holds the spices and connects them to the meat. It'll also help to create the crust that we really like as the brisket cooks. So I'm just going to start putting this stuff all over the brisket. Then we're just gonna, rub it in. We want to get all those nooks and crannies. Trying to just use one hand because in a second I'm going to flip this thing over and try to put some on the other side. Now you really don't have to do this. I'm just kind of doing it out of habit, and I've seen some really good results. Some fellow chefs have recently just been using salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic. Some people put salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. I like to have more flavor. And so with this, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some brown sugar. And it's dark brown. There's a little molasses. And I'm going to put that equally all over. So we have mustard and brown sugar at this point. And the last thing that I'm going to use is this Traeger prime rib rub. Now, I haven't tried this before, but it has a lot of the ingredients that I like to see on a brisket. It has a little bit of paprika, of course salt and pepper. It has the garlic that I mentioned before. I think that this is going to be pretty good. So, and since it's not the main flavor profile with the brown sugar, I think it'll be fine. I'm trying to leave some spaces so it's not completely packed because I don't want to cover too much of the flavor of the actual meat, and that'd be really easy to do. All right, that's about it. So I'm going to wrap this in cellophane. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator so it'll be ready early morning tomorrow to put on the smoker.
2 hours later.
Okay, it's 11 p.m. I'm going to put the brisket on. I'm going to let it cook all night. That way in the morning, I've already got 8 hours head start. It potentially could take 22 hours because after trimming, it's about a 15-pound brisket.
Tomorrow.
Welcome back. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. You can see the sun's out again. The brisket's been in for about 10 hours and it has an internal temperature of 165. It's been at 165 for about 2 hours, and that is called the plateau, so totally fine. If we leave it this way, it'll eventually start to rise again. But we're going to wrap it. Here's what it looks like now. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so by wrapping it, I mean we're going to put it in tin foil. Safety first. I'm going to go ahead and take these out. Now there's no one way to wrap this. We just want to make sure that it's sealed. So I'm going to end up using a lot more tin foil, I think. I want to be able to lift this guy. Now, if this was a regular smoker, I would make sure this was closed the whole time because we would lose temp. Being that it's a pellet grill, we should be okay. I think we can safely say that this brisket is wrapped. And all we're going to do is put it right back in there. So, close her up. So now we're going to continue to watch the temperature until it reaches 203 and we'll pull it out. Which reminds me, I forgot to put these back in. I like to put one on either side. We have a flat spot here. And we have a heavy spot. Now we're set. Alright, the internal temperature is 203. That doesn't completely mean it's ready to pull off yet. We're going to check something. So while the temperature is right, we want to make sure that the meat feels tender. To do that, we're just going to sort of pull the temperature probe out. You can see, or at least I can feel and explain to you. Let's try to. It's really soft and tender. It feels like a butter knife, a knife going into butter. So, yeah, it feels really soft. So what we're going to do is take this off now, and we're going to wrap it in towels. I'm going to leave the temperature probes in because I want to see, as this sits in the cooler, I want to see that it's still hot enough to not be in the danger zone. These are just old beach towels. The idea is they're going to trap the heat around our brisket while it rests. Good. Now over here, I have a cooler, and the bottom of the cooler has more towels. And all I'm going to do there we go. Close that up, and we're going to let it sit for at least 2 hours. Today, because we won't be able to eat for a while, it's only 12:45. It can sit in there for as long as 9 hours. We're probably going to go for 5 today. Now you got to remember though, the longer it's in there, the more tender it is. So we are taking a little bit of a risk that when I cut it, it's going to fall apart as opposed to being solid and firm. But that's a chance we take.
6 hours later.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, so it's been in the cooler for about 6 hours. You'll see the temperature is still 172 degrees. So by wrapping them in towels and putting them in the cooler, it's maintained that temperature for 6 hours. I think we probably could have gone a couple more if we had to. But our guests are on the way, so it's time to open this up. Ooh, looks like... Okay. One of our towels is a little bit wet, so it looks like some of the juices have come out. I'm going to take these out. Set that aside. And it's still hot to touch. So let's take this out. So, oops. This aside. All right. Can't wait to see what we're gonna find. Kind of want to take this off so my fingers work better, but then they burn. So wow, look at that. Now, one of the disadvantages of having it in tinfoil so long is you'll notice that our bark is not really crispy, but that's okay. It'll still be delicious. I think what we're going to do is just cut this and leave it on the bottom there. And move this out. Okay. Now when you cut a brisket, you want to make sure you go against the grain, not with the grain. So in this case, I believe that our grain goes like this, so we're going to want to cut this direction. And I'm just going to take a peek here, see if we can cut a... So, if you look close, I think you'll see we have lots of moisture in here. If we take a piece, it pulls apart really nicely. So I'm going to take a little taste of this. Whew, it's still hot though, I'll tell you. That is delicious. I think it's the best one I've made so far. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's pretty basic what we've done. I didn't do anything different than anybody else does. I've just taken the parts that I like from all of the recipes. And if you watch this, you can look online and see what other people do and sort of incorporate your own methodology and your own techniques into the process. But all in all, as long as you do it slow and steady, low temperatures, and you take your time, you'll have amazing, amazing product. Thank you.